A very good evening and welcome to this Sunday's edition of News First Weekend, coming to you live from our Newsfirst studios in Colombo. I'm Arundhati Mudanayaka. Let's start off with a look at the stories making headlines this evening.
President takes a stand on the misuse of financial allocations for public representatives. Minister Jeevan Kumaratunga makes a plea to prevent the destruction of the SLFP.
Sri Lanka Nidas Pakshe ඉදිරියට යන්න බෑ කියලා කෙනෙක් කියනවා නම් මේක මහා විහිළුවක්.
Broad investigations commence into irregularities at the CSE. Map depicting destruction in Wilpattu to be unveiled in the near future.
President Maithripala Sirisena says that he will put a stop to the misuse of money allocated to ministers and MPs. The president made this observation while attending a function in Polonnaruwa today.
The Polonnaruwa District Conference of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party was held this morning under the auspices of President Maithripala Sirisena at the Buddhi Mandapa in Polonnaruwa.
Mama Janataගේ ප්‍රශ්න සඳහා කැප වෙනවා මිසක් මට කාගේවත් පුද්ගලික ප්‍රශ්න සඳහා කැප වෙන්න උවමනාවක් නැහැ.
I am dedicated to resolving the problems of the people, but I will not worry about anyone's personal problems. This party needs to be democratic. The membership of the party needs to be empowered. It should not be ministers and MPs who make decisions. We should amend the party constitution in such a way that there is more power for the party membership within the party. Then we will strengthen the party for the freedom and democracy of the people. The tenure of local government authorities has ended. Some blame me and try to give a different idea to the people. If local government bodies were abolished before the end of the tenure, then it would be wrong. Elections must be held at the end of 4 years. After 6 years, a parliamentary election should be held. The tenure of provincial councils ends in 5 years, and elections must be held at the end of the term. What happens when the tenure is extended using powers? I could have done that with a gazette notification. Then what happens to the mandate of the people? If we extend the tenure, we deny the people their right. This is the true story, and you decide whether it is right or wrong. I will not allow the misuse of power. Financial allocations given to ministers, parliamentarians, provincial councillors and members of Pradeshia Sabhas must be used only for public development ventures. I will put a halt to the distributing of goods to private persons.
Former President Chandrika Kumaratunga requests all politicians to allow the current government to serve the people. She made this statement at an event held in Gampaha today.
All those who have swindled money have stolen enough and more. They have built castles. Enough. I request all of them to please allow the government to serve the people. Please do not do anything to disrupt this. If the father is a minister, then he calls his sons, daughters, wives, brothers, aunts and his entire family to exploit state resources.
When the tenure of certain provincial councillors come to an end, there are those who find it difficult to leave their post because they have exploited state resources. This is because they get hold of businessmen and contractors and are attempting to continue the thievery which they have been carrying on for the past 9 years. The time has come when they will request to hold their positions longer.
These comments were made at an event held at the auditorium of Bandaranaike College, where deeds of Run Bima lands in the Gampaha district were distributed.
Speaking at an event held today, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe charged that in the recent past, commissions were taken prior to the commencement of development projects.
Speaking at a meeting of UNP supporters in the Valapane electorate of Harasbadda, Valapane today, the Prime Minister expressed the following views.
People are calling this an Acharu government. Within 100 days, this Acharu government has brought the progress that the Rajapaksa government couldn't bring in 5 years. What did former President Mahinda Rajapaksa do in the name of development? They say roads have not been built. Over the past 3 years, roads were built without making payments. Some of the construction are undertaken with no money, but they obtain commissions beforehand. When we go to Japan, the Asian Development Bank, Korea and the World Bank and ask them for money, they say they cannot give money and that we must recall tenders and give the contracts to suitable people. Now the man who paid the commission does not get the money and does not have the contract.
The Securities and Exchange Commission has recommended broad investigations into alleged irregularities that occurred in the Colombo Stock Exchange. Tushar Jayaratne, External Relations Director at the SEC, said investigations are underway into 16 incidents. He added that certain files relating to the matter have already been referred to the Attorney General.
Speaking in Parliament recently, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe said those who had committed fraud in the CSC had destroyed the nation's economy.
There are a number of allegations of violations of the Colombo Stock Exchange stock market rules and Securities and Exchange Commission regulations. There, under the last government, there were large numbers. The minor ones were compounded. 13 large cases were abandoned purportedly on the lack of evidence. They were not investigated or settled when it should have been probed further. The members of the Securities and Exchange Commission was providing a cover for these people. I have requested the Securities and Exchange Commission to go into these cases. If necessary, I will bring legislation to permit such an inquiry. I am also seeking for the appointment of a parliamentary select committee to inquire into these transactions. මං ඒ ගැන දැන් යෝජනා ඉදිරිපත් කරලා තියෙනවා. අපේ ආර්ථික මුල් නැති කරලා තියෙන ඒගොල්ලෝ පුද්ගලයෝ මේකට. Take for example Dilip Jayavira. His role in the Colombo Land and Development Company and Reef Combo have to be probed by the authorities. Another example is Scott Newman and Kosala Hingama. Their roles in the environment resource investment require very close scrutiny.
Several weeks after the Prime Minister's statement, the Police Financial Crimes Investigation Division questioned businessman Dilip Jayavira, who was mentioned by the Prime Minister over a transaction at the Colombo Stock Exchange. The FCID had grilled Jayavira for about 6 hours. Today's newspapers reported on the matter. According to the Sunday Times report, the FCID had questioned Dilip Jayavira on irregularities in the sale of Lanka Hospital shares to an Indian company. The Sunday Times reports that most of the questioning was centered on how the shares of the hospital, valued at 28 rupees a share, quickly rose to 64 rupees a share. The Business Times also reported that one-time powerful stock market investor Dilip Jayavira had been questioned by the FCID. The Business Times reported that such an interrogation was inconceivable a few months ago.
This is finally, if I may say so, a step in the right direction in an attempt to get to the bottom of the billions of rupees that ordinary retail investors lost out when they attempted to invest on the Colombo Stock Exchange. Mr. Jayavira and others, including very senior officials in companies connected to him, have been at the center of allegations in the so-called pumping and dumping of shares in the Colombo Stock Exchange. Companies connected to Mr. Jayavira must be fully investigated by the FCID. It is only then that the absolute full extent of the treachery perpetrated against the public, ordinary investors, will become fully apparent. There are recorded instances, and the proof is publicly available documentation, that reveal the extent of even military figures, and in one case a paramilitary figure, involvement in their business activities. These people were used to frighten and coerce innocent members of the public into their line of thinking. In one instance, a property that had been purchased for 60 million suddenly found itself valued several times higher than that for no apparent reason other than clearly to prop up their flagging share prices. We can see a situation where, rather like a serpent that has kerosene oil poured on them, the targets of investigation are now squealing. We have to ask the question, is this because these people have lost out on the political patronage they enjoyed in the Rajapaksa years. Finally, I must point out that the same person who headed the Jaivira-connected company ended up as the head of the Securities Exchange Commission of Sri Lanka, where clearly there was, without a shadow of doubt, a conflict of interest position. It is very, very clear that Mr. Jaivira and his associates must be fully investigated to reveal to the public and hopefully to obtain some redress to the public who have lost out on billions and billions of rupees worth of monies by trying to invest on the Colombo Stock Exchange.
Allegations raised over the Kalpitia Beach Resort deal, which is owned by a company in which Dilip Jaivira is a director. SEC issues directive to the company over inaction for several years, having raised 283 million rupees from the public. SEC raises questions on remedial action that will be taken if the hotel is not built and shareholders are not treated fairly. Action filed at a district court claiming that a company of which Dilip Jaivira is a director had fraudulently obtained land in Pasakura valued at 169 million rupees. For the attention of the FCID.
Why did two chairpersons and two director generals of the Colombo Stock Exchange regulator, the SEC, resign within a short time frame? How was the SEC chairman who was appointed thereafter involved in this activity? Well, we have more information on this. Expect a comprehensive report from Newsfirst in the near future. Let's take a look at some of the views expressed on the political stage.
Under the previous regime, when an injustice occurred, one could not go to court and seek redress. When 400 to 500 students sat for the law college examination, a VIP's child was told to sit for the exam in a separate room. He was given a computer, so he looked up everything and wrote the answers. In the end, this person scored more on the examination than Lalit Atulak Mudali did when he was at law college. For shame. Over the past 5 years, Kolonnawa was struck with the name of being the place where drugs were most prevalent. We must especially mention that after the 8th of January, there is maximum freedom and democracy in the Kolonnawa electorate. A situation where there are no murders has arisen. People are able to work free of the influence of thugs. Kolonnawa has been brought to the position where it can no longer be called a hotbed for drugs.
දැන් තව දුරටත් කොළොන්නාව කුඩු කියන තැනක් බවට කියන්න බැරි තැනට අපි හදලා තියෙනවා.
Maithripala Sirisena was elected president with 6.2 million votes. Now they are saying that 5.8 is greater. I do not know what the calculation they used to say that 5.8 is greater than 6.2. They are fools. The leech only knows the taste of blood. It is pointless to feed a leech milk. They cannot survive without it.
Shortly after this news item was telecast on the main news bulletin at 7 p.m. on our sister channel Sirasa TV, UPF MP Janaka Wakumura contacted News First and expressed the following views. Let's listen to what he had to say.
I saw on the news that Minister Lakshman Kiriyalla said that there was no independence in the judiciary. But he must know that the Supreme Court has given a decision in support of the former Defence Secretary. Now the Prime Minister is criticizing this and saying that he will go to the Commonwealth regarding this matter. When looking at the decision given to the former Defence Secretary, we see that the court has acted independently. But Lakshman Kiriyalla is saying there was no independence in the judiciary in the past, while the Prime Minister is saying something else. They are making contradictory statements. The judiciary was independent in the past and it is independent now. We still believe in the independence of the judiciary, and this is why we seek redress from the court against what this government is doing.
State Minister of Labour Relations Jeevan Kumar Natunga says that the new leadership of the country was elected by a majority of the public.
Speaking at an SLFP party meeting in Moratuwa last evening, Jeevan Kumar Natunga stated that politicians must respect the wishes of the people.
හිටපු නායකත්වය වෙනස් කරන්න.
A majority of the population had already decided to change the former leadership of the country. Even though we made many sacrifices for the party, the former president used to say that anyone can leave because this is like a barber shop. So if you cannot stay, then leave. Then I whispered to his ear telling him, "Sir, please do not undermine us this way." After hurting the feelings of party supporters like us, this became the final result. That is why I would like to tell the former president to not become the curse that will divide the party into two. We did not reject him. Do not be so eager for positions such as Prime Minister. If someone says that the Sri Lankan Freedom Party cannot move forward without him, this is a joke. Look at how many changes have taken place in the leadership of the party within the span of 50 years.
Speaking at an event held in Walasmulla today, Minister Sajith Premadasa commented on transactions that took place in the run-up to the presidential election.
In the run-up to the presidential election, a very unusual development project was undertaken across the entire country. Without allocating funds, reaching agreements with the treasury or signing contracts, they forcefully and arbitrarily used machines to build roads. When our government came in, we had a major problem. When roads were built without signing agreements and without a clear program, how can we make payments? The unsigned agreements must be signed.
The minister made this statement at an event held at the Walasmulla Divisional Secretariat to give concessionary loans to low-income families.
In 2006, the former Chief Operating Officer of RADA, Dr. Saleh Vikramasuriya, who is currently in remand custody, acted to halt a controversial project. Newsfirst is in possession of a letter which confirms the affirmative action taken by him. Expect a comprehensive report in the near future. Issuing a statement today, Ocean View Development Company Private Limited claimed that a financial irregularity had occurred by the company during the tenure of Vimal Weerawansa as the Minister of Housing.
Ocean View Development Private Limited is the first housing and property development company established by the Sri Lankan government. Issuing a statement, the company has levelled three main allegations at former Minister Vimal Weerawansa. The company alleges that 14 million rupees was misappropriated for the printing of diaries and calendars without following an acceptable institutional procedure. The company also alleges that a sum of 71 million rupees had been misappropriated in selling 6 luxury houses constructed by the company in Mattegoda and Kahatuduwa. The company claims that those houses have been given to close relatives of former Minister Vimal Weerawansa at a very low estimation. Ocean View Development Private Limited also alleges that annual wages amounting to more than 6 million rupees was paid to 12 people recruited to the company and that they were in fact carrying out Weerawansa's political activities on a full-time basis. Furthermore, the company states that following the appointment of the new government, the residents of these houses had provided the company with affidavits stating that they are unable to pay rent in terms of the real estimation of the value of these homes. At a media briefing held today, National Freedom Front spokesperson Mohammed Muzammil commented on the allegations. These housing schemes were constructed in 2011 under the Jana Sevana housing schemes. Later, the management of the housing schemes and the management and board of directors of Ocean View Development decided to turn these into commercial housing schemes. This has been done in line with accepted procedure. When any company commences a commercial project, those who come first are given priority. Thereby, there have been no low pricing or special benefits granted to anyone. However, in its statement, Ocean View Development poses 3 questions to the minister. Is the group who received homes at the luxury housing schemes in Mattegoda and Kahatuduwa related to the minister? Is the minister not involved in the misappropriation of 14 million rupees for the printing of diaries and calendars in the run-up to the presidential election? Was a group of persons maintained with wages of more than 60 million rupees per annum at public cost?
A group of environmentalists are drawing a map to depict the damages caused to the Wilpattu National Park. They hope to present this map to officials in the near future.
A permit granted by the Department of Wildlife in 2013 paved the way for the destruction of Sri Lanka's largest national park in Wilpattu. Upon requests made by the Presidential Task Force in 2012, appointed to look into resettlement, the Department of Wildlife segregated 1,080 acres from Mannar for this purpose. They also agreed to give 983 acres from Mullaitivu and 325 acres from Vavuniya. Environmentalists went on to show that the destruction of Vilpattu is owing to the arbitrary manner in which permits were granted. Newsfirst was able to obtain rough sketches of the map with regard to the clearing of forest land. At a media briefing held yesterday, Rishad Baduddin revealed that there was no environmental impact assessment carried out prior to the clearance of forest land.
environmental impact assessment කරන එක එහෙම කියලා කොයිදර තියනවද? තව අහන්නේ මම අහන්නේ කොතන අක්කර 2000 මම කියන කැමති එක තැනේ නෙමෙයි මේක පදිංචි වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. ඔය අහන්නේ පරිසර වාර්තාවක්. නෑ පරිසර වාර්තාවක් ඕනද? EIA එකක් ඕනද කියලා නේ ඔය අහන්නේ. මං කියන්නේ මෙතන EIA එකක් ඕන නෑ කියලා මං කියන කැමතියි.
He has used his power in an arbitrary manner and has engaged in numerous wrongdoings. He has violated 3 to 4 laws through this. It is in this backdrop that we request that Rishad Baduddin be taken to the CID for questioning.
Senior lecturer of Geology, ASM Nauza, who appeared on behalf of Minister Rishad Baduddin, admitted that there was environmental damage caused at the Vilpattu Reserve.
Not only is destruction taking place in this part of Sri Lanka, there is destruction taking place within all the forests of Sri Lanka. Some of you may have witnessed that there are pictures and signboards of the former president erected in several areas. What can be derived from this? This is not something that happened recently. This has been taking place even before 2012. Therefore, the clearing of forests has been taking place for a long time.
The destruction has been taking place in the northern area of the Vilpattu National Park, which belongs to the Department of Wildlife Conservation. As a result, environmentalists added that there is no way to stop the negative impact that is affecting 605 different plants, species and 328 animal species.
Brick by brick, our hearts become one. Run Bhumi, rally for unity. 15th May, 9 a.m. Trincomalee, 12 p.m. Balachine, 4 p.m. Batiklo, 16th May, 9 a.m. Kalmune, 12 p.m. Uhana, 4 p.m. Ampara, 17th May, 9 a.m. Mahawaya, 12 p.m. Mahayangana, 4 p.m. Polonnarua. Join us now for the nation's biggest rally.
You're with News First. It is being reported that the Pothuil Muhudu Mahaviharya that survived even the wrath of the tsunami has now become a target of illegal sand miners.
This historic Pothuil Viharya lies 800 meters from the Pothuil town. The Viharya is a prominent tourist attraction since it is situated close to the beautiful Arugambe beach. This location is a significant archaeological site with ruins corroborate with the story of how Princess Vihara Mahadevi was sacrificed to the sea in order to save the country from a natural disaster. After the archaeological value of this site was confirmed in 1965, 30 acres of this area was named as a historic archaeological site. However, this area has become a banquet for illegal sand miners to exploit for the last 3 years. Our correspondent stated that the coastal line has faced severe erosion due to the illegal sand mining conducted for the past 3 years. According to the Venerable Dolmate Ratnapriya Thero of the Muhudu Mahaviharya, the necessary officials have been informed several times in order to prevent this harm.
We informed the police, the IGP, the Coast Conservation Department and everyone we thought necessary. We told them what was happening. This is a great injustice.
The presence of the tractor attached to the Pothuil Pradesh Sabha near the sand mining location has given space to speculation of 2 incidents being connected. Newsfirst inquired from the former chairman of the Pothuil Pradesh Sabha regarding this incident. Is there an accusation of the Pradesh Sabha's involvement in sand mining near the Potuvil Muhudu Mahavihara?
This is wrong. We have constructed a barricade to protect this land. This barricade was constructed with the funds of the Pradesh Sabha and the Coast Conservation Department.
But we have footage showing a tractor of the Pradesh Sabha mining sand from the area.
That is true, and I never said it was a lie. It is one of the local jurisdiction requirements to whiten the land with beach sand when there is a funeral. It is a tradition of the village. When the requirement arises, we call and get permission from the police OIC. We do not sell it for money, and it is not just us who do this. So no one can accuse that only our tractors did such a thing.
When we inquired from the police regarding whether the Pradesh Sabha had asked for permission to mine sand in the area, the police media unit stated that the police has no legal authorization when it comes to sand mining. We also inquired from the Coast Conservation Department on whether the Pradesh Sabha chairman has the authority to mine sand from the beach for his personal needs.
That is not allowed. They should obtain a permit from us. We only provide 2 cubics of sand in an emergency like a funeral or for a temple. But even then the sand is taken from a previously identified location. We do not give that opportunity to other companies and not even the Pradesh Sabhas. Sand dunes are a significant part of our ecosystem. This sand dune was mined after our working hours. We sent our officers to Potuvil today. We expect to barricade this road, preventing vehicles from reaching the area.
The brother of Vele Sudha, who divulged information about many high-profile individuals, including politicians who are involved in the drug racket in Sri Lanka, was arrested in Kohuala today. Police media spokesperson SP Ruwan Gunasekara said that the suspect was arrested near the residence of Vele Sudha in Kohuala. At the time of the arrest, the suspect had 2.3 grams of heroin in his possession. The Run Bhumi Rally for Unity, which is journeying across the country carrying the message of harmony and coexistence, reached Polonnaruwa today. The rally, which has already travelled across 24 cities in its journey, thus far commenced day 10 from Padithalava this morning.
The Run Bhumi rally commenced its journey from Padithalava this morning after obtaining the blessings of the indigenous people who bear testament to the country's rich history. The Run Bhumi rally, which aims to spread the message of national unity, was warmly welcomed by the people of Padithalava. The brick engraved with the name of Padithalava was passed from hand to hand and placed on the main float of the rally as a sign of the commitment of the people of Padithalava to national unity.
We live here as one people, devoid of divisions of ethnicity, caste or religion. We must all stay together as links of a chain. Only then will the country progress. I think this program is very useful for the country.
Harmony among communities is very important in this area. Along with the war in the past, there were minor problems, and this is a good experience for the youth to free themselves from those problems and live in unity.
The Run Bhumi Rally for Unity then proceeded to Mahiyangane and visited the historic Mahiyangane Rajamahavihara. Students of the Dhamma School too joined in the Run Bhumi Rally, marking their commitment to national unity.
All people of this country hope to live in peace, happiness and contentment. I deeply appreciate this effort to give them that opportunity.
Polonnaruwa, the home of the farmers who sustained this nation, was the endpoint of today's leg of the Run Bhumi Rally for Unity. The Run Bhumi Rally for Unity arrived in Polonnaruwa to a warm welcome from the people. The people of Polonnaruwa too gifted a brick for the Ranbhoomi monument, casting aside divisions of religion, community and caste.
I think this is the best opportunity to bring about much needed national reconciliation. We express our gratitude for organizing this program where we can all come together as children of one mother.
The Ranbhoomi Rally for Unity, organized by MTV-MBC, Newsfirst, Colombo Port City and the National Youth Services Council, will travel to Habarana, Kakirawa and Maradankadavala tomorrow.
A workshop for a talent program organized by Visakha Vidyalaya Colombo was held today. News First is the media sponsor of the event.
The event is being held with the participation of several schools from the Colombo district. While student leaders can showcase their talents in various categories, the winners will receive awards. The first round of talent program will be held on the 23rd of this month, while the final performance will be held on the 19th of June. The workshop for the program was held this morning at the Visakha Vidyalaya auditorium. A group including journalists participated as resource personnel.
අපි සම්ප්‍රදාය කියන එක උඩින් පැනලා යන්න බෑ.
We cannot jump over what we call tradition. We must move forward through tradition. We must identify the fundamental rules of tradition. Creativity must build upon that. The fundamental concepts must be identified. If you are just doing something for the sake of doing it, then there will be no productive result. You must first know the alphabet in order to write an essay and then write a book. That is how great tomes come to be.
And with that, we wrap up tonight's edition of News First Weekend. Thank you very much for joining us. Have a great week ahead of you. Good night.